Hello, everybody. This is me. It is 9:30 p.m. and I am taking this time to rank all 165 Elden Ring bosses on this here tier list. Um, I've got my rankings right here. I've played through the entire game exactly once. I have killed basically everything. Um, I'm by no means a pro. I did use Mimic tier and stuff when things got tough. Um, for reference, I was a Dex Faith build running the Winged Scythe, along with another Scythe in my off and just a normal Scythe. So basically, my solution to most things was spamming jump attack. So that should give you just an idea of how I experienced the game. All right, start with the Abductor Virgins. This is the boss version of them that you fight in the secret tunnel that Patches points you towards. You get there by way of the lava caves beneath Mount Gelmir. They're, as a boss, they're fine. They're not terrible. There's two of them. Even though you've probably seen them already by this point, just as a boss, they're not too bad. As overworld enemies, they suck because they are very hard to fight because they're made of metal and you can't really do crap to them. So yeah, they go in Ite. Okay. Now I'm going to be saving remembrance bosses for later, but this isn't a remembrance boss. Estelle Stars of Darkness. This is the this is the crappy this is Estelle 2, and there isn't Estelle 2 for some reason. He's in the Eyes of Yellow Annex tunnels up in the consecrated snowfields. There is no explanation as to why he is there. And yeah, he doesn't need to exist. I mean, it's Estelle. Estelle's cool, but just for just because it's insulting. It's like, why are you here? You were already somewhere else. Though the consecrated snowfield mine is a pretty cool dungeon, though. It's all frozen over and everything. Battle Mage Hughes. One of the many forgettable Everjail bosses. This one's in Caelid. I didn't fight him until basically the end of the game, because I forgot he was there. He goes in bleh. Same thing with Adon, Thief of Fire. He gives you a cool spell. Like, I think he gives you Adon gives you the giant, the floating dum-dum. You cast the floating red dum-dum, and it explodes. It looks really cool, but the spell itself is kind of crap because it doesn't do that much damage and it's really slow. At least in my opinion. But yeah, again, I forgot he was there until like I was way past his skill level. Alabaster Lord. This dude is chilling in the Everjail right outside Ronnie's house. And again, by the time you reach there, you've probably fought this dude at least 3 times. It's more than likely you fought this dude or his brother, the Onyx Lord variant, at least 3 times, because there's the one on the beach in Limgrave. There's the one that's chilling in the academy. And then there's the really freaky one that's like being summoned by the ritual guys in the Weeping Peninsula. That was really that was really bizarre, just coming across that in the wild. Another one of those things that these guys function a lot better as just like a mini boss that you stumble across than an actual set up boss fight. Nah. Electo Black Knife Ringleader. I actually really liked fighting Electo. Like, I'm guessing she's probably just a beefed up Black Knife assassin. But, I mean, she's in the Everjail down in the Moon Altar, which you can't access unless you do Ronnie's quest line. But, I don't know, I just found fighting her really fun. Because, of course, she doesn't die as fast as the other assassins do. And I mean, she does have that, she has the assassin bullshit grab attack, but I went in there with a charm that reduced critical hits damage. The one you get, I think you get it from one of the birds. No, you get it. It's another Black Knight assassin charm, I think. And I also went in there with the with a spear, with a Vike spear, and it was really funny, just like, because we were both sort of just leaping all over the place and stabbing each other in the back constantly. And it was kind of fun. So yeah, I actually really I found that fight really exciting and enjoyable. Ancestor Spirit, I'm going to deal with you as a grand finale. Maybe in a part 2, because this thing caps out at 2 hours. I don't think I'm allowed to record longer than that. Okay. Ancient Dragon Lanciax. You fight her outside. Well, you fight her for the first time. She just sort of jumps you when you step foot into the Aldous Plateau. I think, at least I fought her outside the big, like near the big place with all the overturned carriages. And I know that's not like immediately in your way if you head up the normal way from the Dectus lift. But anyway, like, it was kind of a high, because like you had just finished beating the magma worm, and then this other dragon jumps you, and then you smack it in the face a couple times, and then it leaves. And you're like, yeah, run away, run away, run away. You're scared of me. And then you run into her a second time, and she gets the drop on you again. And this is another one of those situations where by this point in the game, you've probably learned enough to realize that when you see that little purple, like little purple symbol floating in the corner of your screen, you realize that shit's about to go down. Yeah, but she's the first ancient dragon fight in the game, and thus she's pretty good. I had quite a lot of fun. She does have that one lightning attack, the glaive, that's pretty hard to dodge. I think she's the dragon who's in the trailer. Yeah. Ancient Heroes of Zamor. Yeah, they're all pretty, like, these guys don't, there's nothing special about them. They have ice attacks, and they all have like 5 health. Like, the one in the Weeping Peninsula, I'm going to put in, I'm going to put that one in Ite, just because it's the first time you run into them. Stell is a Remembrance boss. Malekith is a Remembrance boss. Okay, the other Black Knife assassins. The invisible one, it's a gimmick. It's one of the gimmick bosses. Like, this is one of the reasons why they say that you should have a journal when playing this game. Because unless you write that shit down, like this isn't a boss fight that you're gonna figure out unless you've been like writing shit down. Because the note about like invisible enemies is like way earlier in the game, or at least I think. I forget who sells you that note, but it's not immediately apparent when that comes into play. And there are a couple of there are quite a few instances of that in Elden Ring, where like you see one merchant selling this note says that X and Y is going to occur, and you need to do Z, and then by the time you reach X and Y, you've completely forgotten about Z. So I'm gonna put the invisible one in meh. Though it's a pretty cool dungeon. There's a lot of loot there. You know, actually, I'm going to put it in height. The one in a Limgrave I didn't find until I was pretty powerful. I think it's interesting that this one starts at like lower health for whatever reason, but I don't know. I'm going to put it in meh. And then while we're at it, I'll do the other two that are here. The one in Altus Plateau is actually kind of cool because it jumps you in the open world. Like, you have to beat it to get into the hero's grave outside Lanedell, or one of the hero's graves outside Lanedell. I forget exactly what it's called. But yeah, it's kind of a surprise. And that one can actually, like, fuck you up. Well, I mean, they can all fuck you up, but yeah, that one goes in pretty good. You know what? I'm gonna move down some more. I'm gonna keep that night. Okay. The one in Liurnia, while the fight is really simple, because at least it was from it's in a closed space. You can summon D for it, which is pretty cool, and it's hidden behind an illusory wall. So while the fight itself is kind of over really fast, the circumstances surrounding it and the fact that it's like part of Fia's questline and all that, that's all pretty cool. The first Beastman of Faram Azula fight is actually, I think, decent, because this is the first cave, probably like the first dungeon you will likely go into, because it's more or less right in front of you. The second you leave the tutorial area, and it's entirely likely this will be the first boss you kill. I mean, aside from Soldier of Godric. And I feel it sets up just like, the concept of a dungeon or a cave pretty well. So I'm going to put it in height, and you don't run into the, like, this guy's a basic enemy in the late game, but you've just started. You haven't been, you're nowhere near going to Faram Azula, so the novelty's still there. However, the other two, the duo boss fight, by this point, you've more than likely been to Faram Azula because these guys are at the Dragon Barrow. So you've probably seen like a bajillion of these guys, and they are significantly easier. The hardest part of this cave is probably the bear that's parked in the front cavern. And yeah, these guys aren't harder than the Rune Bear, that's for sure. I mean, I don't know. I didn't even try fighting the Rune Bear. I just solid snaked my way past him. Cause screw Rune Bears. Okay, bell-bearing hunters are annoying. I mean, they're pretty cool in concept. You know, they've got their Jedi powers. They throw their sword around. They are very annoying to fight just as a melee build because they have melee attacks at range. And there are other additional factors. They're annoying to get to. Just to challenge them is a pain in the ass because they only show up at night, but just setting the time to night isn't enough. You have to rest at the Grace again in order to get the merchant to go away. This is particularly annoying with the one in the Church of Absolution. And yeah, this is particularly annoying with the one in the Church of Absolution. You know, yeah, I'll put him here. Like, he's not boring, but he's annoying. No way, I'm gonna put him there. He's particularly annoying. The Church of Absolution, the one with the Church of Absolution, the one with the War Master at the War Master Shack. Like, it depends because Bernal leaves eventually, so you can always just go there. I'm not sure if you still have to reload. It'd be kind of fucked up if you have to reload the area even after Bernal was gone, but I don't know. I don't remember. Yeah, but that's also probably the easiest one to fight. So I'm gonna put him in pretty good just because the idea of the bell. No, I'm gonna move him down to 8. Just because the idea of the bell-bearing hunter is cool, is pretty cool. The one in Altus Plateau is fairly unremarkable. There's nothing particularly standing out about it, just like the one in the Church of Absolution. They're both, you have to reload the area, they're both annoying. The one in Dragon Barrow, that one's going down here. That son of a bitch. Like, I had trouble killing that son of a bitch even after I'd beaten the final boss of the game. Like, not only is there the whole reloading thing, it's in Dragon Barrow, so it's super beefed up. And then there's the fact that if you go too far in any one direction, like if you fight too far away from the house, you can back off the cliff, which I've done at least twice, or B, you'll attract the pack of wild giant T-Rex dogs that's just down the road. Which is really annoying. I wound up having to use Scarlet Aeonia to just finish him off. Because screw that. The Blackblade Kindred are both pretty good. You only have to fight, like, there's only 2 of them, so it doesn't get stale. Their movesets are interesting. They're not pushovers. They even in the late game because they have that destined death power. They're pretty fun to fight. The second one, the one in the Forbidden Lands, you can summon Millicent for, and Millicent kicks ass. And yeah, the one in the Dragon Barrow is also kind of funny because it's part of like a long conga line of sort of like Dragon Barrow has like 3 or 4 uh, sort of open world field bosses that are all within a very short distance of each other. And so like if you're trying to run to the Caelid Tower from, say, Geraint, because you haven't found, because you're not sure where the next grace is, or if you're trying to explore from Geraint, you'll like trigger this guy, and you'll trigger like three other bosses while you're just running around. Commander Niall is annoying. I hate him. Just because of, the 2 guys, his buddies, his pals, his friends. They're Storm Knights, which are very difficult to fight. Like, they're difficult to fight the first time when you go into Stormvale the first time, you'll probably wind up avoiding them because you have to be kind of high level to take them out. And then when you run into them in Castle Sol, they're even more powerful and they're scaled higher than you. So each one is basically like a walking mini boss in itself. And their really annoying thing is how they can close distance and then immediately attack. Or they close their distance with their attack, so like you can't get any breathing room. Commander O'Neill is Ite. It's pretty cool that he's just like sort of chilling out in the middle of the swamp, and that you can just run into him on accident. But other than that, he's nothing special. Like, he summons dudes to shoot at you, which isn't that annoying, but eh. Bloodhound Knights. I do not like Bloodhound Knights. I do not like how they can teleport. I mean, I just don't like Bloodhound Step. I never got the hang of it. Or I never got the hang of fighting it. My optimal way of engaging with a Bloodhound Knight is from 50 meters away with a Frenzied Burst between the eyes. You can't do that with this boss fight because you're in a cave. This is the one that you have to fight to get to the Albinoric woman, Latenna. Yeah. Actually, no, wait, I'm moving, right, that's why I made this tier. This guy's going in Y, because why does he exist? Bloodhound Knight Darrowil, however, despite being a Bloodhound Knight, you can summon Blythe for this fight, and that alone puts it up here. Because Blythe can do all the work for you. And you get to hang out with him, which is cool. Bull's Carrion Knight is another lame giant Everjail boss. It's a troll. You fought 50 bazillion of them, except this one has a sword and can use magic. Except that if you approach this area from the north, you've probably run into like at least one of these guys already. I know there's one near the Frenzied Flame village, and then there's the headless ones. I'm not sure if they can do magic though. But there's the headless ones that hang out near the four belfries, the headless ghost trolls. He goes in bleh. Borealis, the freezing fog, is the ice dragon. And one that I was able to call, like, from 5 miles away. Like, the instant I rode out onto the frozen lake, I was like, wow, I bet I'm going to fight an ice dragon here. And lo and behold, there it was. I know some people don't like this boss. I didn't have as much of a problem with him. I do have my issue with the frostbite breath, the fact that it feels like it shouldn't be doing as much damage as it does. Like with this guy and with Exikes, you're looking at you get caught in the cloud, and then you look at the status bar, and you're like, oh, frostbite cloud. You're not looking at your health bar that's being melted. And I mean, the fact that it melts your health bar so fast that the status effect bar feels like just an additional middle finger. It feels like why is it even there? Okay, Cemetery Shades, the crab people. These guys look cool, so I'm gonna put the first one, the Weeping Peninsula one, in Ite, because that's the first one I ran into. But they die like in 5 seconds. And just in general, they suck. I'm gonna put him bleh. No, I'm gonna put him in. No, I'm gonna put bleh. Clean Rot Knights are also pushovers, but that's actually a good thing because they inhabit 2 of the worst caves in the entire game, which are the poison caves. Like, there's the poison cave in Liurnia, and there's the poison cave, like the rot cave in Caelid, the one that's all geysers. I'm putting these guys at least in meh, because they look really cool, and like I said, it's one of those, it's like, thank God this is an easy boss fight, because I'm not backtracking through all of that bullshit. Crucible Knights. I love Crucible Knights. I think the Crucible Knight's going to be my first Chef's Kiss tier, because I don't know, they're just really fun to fight. They remind me of, at least they remind me a lot of the Pursuer in Dark Souls 1, in that they've got, like, people are like, oh, parry them to death. I never did that. I just, memorized the moveset. And that feels really satisfying when you can just be like, haha, I know what you are going to do next. And like, the one thing is that when they get into phase 2, they start doing, like, the telegraph I usually require for at least my method is I usually wait until they do the combo with the rock stomp, because that's usually part of a larger combo and usually indicates a window. But when they start pulling out the aspects of the Crucible, that can get kind of annoying because they don't do rock stomp as often. And the secondary tail sweep has like a ridiculous range. Like you think like it has a much longer range than it looks. But yeah, that actually, you know what? I'll move it down to amazing. It's not. No, you know what? First one was really good. Deathbirds are jokes. They are hard to find, and by the time you do find them, you find them by either looking them up where they are, and then by the time you find them, they are barely worth your time. They look cool, but that's about it. So yeah, both in meh. Crucible Knight Siluria is in the deep root depths. She's alright. I'm gonna put her in pretty good because I prefer the Ordovian Crucible Knights, the ones with the sword and shield. I just like because they remind me of the Pursuer. She's still pretty cool though. Crucible Knight, Ordovis. This is the pair that you fight in the hero's grave. They're also pretty cool. Though you have the added incentive of like sticking around and fighting them, because if you don't follow through with killing them, then you have to walk through the hero's grave again. So like you're in there for the long haul, bitch. Unless you want to go through all that bullshit again. Though to be honest, I didn't realize that there was another route down there. I took like there's a drop down to the side with like the wooden beams where you get the vulgar militia ashes. I thought that was the route you were supposed to take, and I basically had it just kind of like I was like I'm not doing that again a second time, so I'm killing these people now. Yeah, Crystallians suck. I'm gonna put them in bleh. Uh, Crystallians. It's a dumb. They're gimmick fights. It's a dumb gimmick. You can only hurt them if you hit them with a blunt object, with a blunt instrument. And the problem is, as like I've played all three Souls games. I haven't finished Dark Souls 3, but I've played Dark Souls 1 and 2, so I know immediately when I started the boss fight and I was only doing like 2 damage. I was like, okay, there's a gimmick here. The only problem is it's not immediately apparent what the gimmick is. Though the messages out, that's where the message system helps. I read messages outside to figure out what it was after I died the first time. What also isn't immediately apparent is that even if you don't have a blunt instrument, you can still break their power, break their super armor by staggering them. Also, gravity stones will fuck them up pretty bad if you've got any of those on you. Yeah, but the gimmick sucks. It's a bad gimmick. Boo. Although it's really annoying because you can actually, I mean, I had this problem a lot where I was actually knocking them out of their stagger just because I was button mashing so hard. So yeah, they all go in bleh. Deathrite birds aren't as bad. Okay, first of all, Deathrite bird Kaled is a joke. Because I've only actually beaten 2 of the 4 Deathrite birds. because the Kaled Deathrite bird, when it was entering phase 2, you know, it sort of does that thing where it jumps up and fires ice arrows at you. It jumped off the cliff that is behind it. So that was a free kill. And then the Deathrite bird in Liurnia just had a heart attack and died. I don't know why. It just died randomly. It broke. The Deathrite bird in the mountaintops is actually pretty good, because it's kind of funny because it's the only one you have to run through the field of skeletons, of giant laser skeletons, to get to it. And it's more like it's more like you'll stumble across it after running through the field of giant laser skeletons, and you'll sort of have like an oh crap moment, because it's around even in the day, which has lore implications probably. Though that area is kind of annoying because it's the one place where the Tibia Mariner doesn't have a boss health bar, and he's hiding. Yeah, so that's pretty good just for the atmosphere. The one in Consecrated Snowfield is Ite. It's hard. This was actually the last boss, the very last boss I killed. And it still took me a few tries. This was after beating the final boss and Millennia and Radicon and everybody, because you can't summon help for Deathbirds. Oh, Liurnia Deathbird goes with the other two. Meh. Dragonkin Soldier of Noxdella is pretty good. I like the Dragonkin Soldier fight. It was hard, it was challenging. It has ice lightning for whatever reason. It's probably the only interesting thing in Ainsel River, at least the part you can get to from the elevator. And I was very disappointed when I figured out that the boss fight was just another dead end. I still think it's kind of annoying that you can only get to like the meat of Ainsel through Ronnie's quest line, but them's the breaks. Dragon Lord Placidus Axe is amazing. I love that fight. At first I thought it was kind of BS. Like, I actually found his most annoying attack to be the to just be in his phase 1, just him spamming lightning everywhere. Because I always felt like I couldn't stop to hit him because he just called down lightning on top of me, and I had to keep moving. But I also had Latenna on fire support for that boss fight. Also, it's kind of cool how you can still track him, even when he does like his little teleports behind you gimmick. The boss run for Placidus Axe is kind of awful, though. Well, it's not. Yeah, it's awful. It's not awful, but it sucks. Also, you're not finding him if you don't look at a guide. He's just one of those bosses. I mean, you might, but like, if you found him without looking at a guide, I admire your sense of exploration. Another Deathbird. This one's the one in the Weeping Peninsula. He goes in Deathbird garbage can. Decaying Exykes is Ite. He's Borealis, but with Scarlet Rot. This one's even more insulting because you go in prepping for a fight against Scarlet Rot. But like I said, his breath just vaporizes you instantly. but you can just set up Latenna on like the cliffs above, and then he can't do crap because he can't actually get there. It's kind of funny. Demi-human chiefs I'm gonna put in pretty good. Just as an intro boss fight. You get to like the small dragon chapel after beating them. You beat them for box quest line and box cool. And like, you run into 50 bazillion of these guys relatively soon on in the game, but as a very early game boss and a very early game NPC quest, these guys are great. You can even summon a dude for them. You can summon Istvan. Yeah. Okay, the demi-human queens. I actually forget which one's which. I know one of them's in a basement, one of them's in a cave, and one of them's just chilling outside the village. They're all basically the same. The one that's outside the village is kind of annoying because, you've got wizard. You probably won't get there without attracting like a horde of demi-humans chasing you, and even if you do manage to like sneak your way through the village, you'll still have wizards shooting at you while the boss fight is in progress. So I'm going to put them all in height. Draconic Tree Sentinel is actually meh. He goes down way too quickly for like being a massive, for like a gatekeeper boss. He's way too easy. You have to fight him to get into Lane-Dell. Or alternatively, you can go down to Deeproot, and you can fight Fiat. You can fight. You can go to Godwin, and you can get in through him. I'm not sure why that's a thing you can do, but hey, it's a thing you can do. The other two Dragonkin soldiers are both height. They're not as good as the main. They're not as good as the main event. Okay, now where'd I put him? Where'd he go? Oh, there he is. They're not as good as the main event, but they're still pretty fun. Though the Dragonkin soldier of Aincel actually surprised me by being not a complete miserable shitfest. Like, cause it's a boss in the middle of a giant like a scarlet rot. You're expecting like, oh god, this is gonna be a horrible, miserable experience. But it wasn't actually. I mean, I had Cleanse Me, O Flame, which is very. If I ever play again, I'm gonna have to go through Scarlet Rot area without that spell and see how much I like it. Yeah, but it wasn't that miserable. Elamir of the Briar, the big daddy of the bell-bearing sentinels. I'm gonna put him. I'm gonna put him in height. Bell-bearing is They're cool, but not that cool. The real boss, I mean, he's the boss of the Shaded Castle, but I mean, the real boss of the Shaded Castle is the two dogs that are hanging out with the Clean Rot Knight on the east side. And then there's that one room with like 2 pages in it. Those are harder than this guy. Also, Patches shows up here for some reason. Okay. Erdtree Burial Watchdogs. This is the one in the Weeping Peninsula. This is the one where this is the one where there are he's got imps with him, which is just like a massive fuck you if I ever saw one. The one in the Impaler's Catacombs. Because imps are annoying. This guy is not an easy boss. So why not make him even more annoying? Yeah, screw you. Esgar, Priest of Blood is a Silent Hill reference, apparently. And he's also pretty forgettable. He's in the sewers. And that hood, while its stats are great, is also a fucking war crime in terms of Fashion Soul, in terms of Elden Bling or Fashion Souls or whatever you call it. Like, I'm pretty sure that hood was deliberately put in the game just to fuck with people who want to min-max their armor. like, oh, you like your armor having stats? Well, wear this, bitch. It doesn't go with anything. Except maybe if you're doing a Pyramid Head cosplay. But even then, it's not Pyramid Head, it's a hood. Erdtree avatars are okay. I just mostly, my strategy with them was to just, cheat, ride around in a turret and just keep on throwing fireballs at them until they died. Which worked pretty well, if I do say so myself, and they were still fun to fight. The one Kaled is kind of wonky in that I'm pretty sure that its aggro range includes the Marika stake. So if you wait by the Marika stake too long, it can actually aggro you again and attack you. And also the greatest threat with the putrid avatars, like the one Kaled, isn't actually the avatar themselves, but the jars, which are full of scarlet rot. Those are actually the more annoying part of the battle. But they're alright. This is the one that can clone itself. It can make a clone of itself. But I mean, it's just 2 of them. They're both easy. This one I'm moving down to meh. Just because the area you fight it in, like the back, I'm pretty sure the back of the Erdtree, of the minor Erdtree that's there, is actually outside of the Stake of Marika range. So if you die to it like around the back of the Erdtree, it sends you all the way back to the Site of Grace, which just adds to the run back time. The one in South Liurnia is there. The one in Weeping Peninsula was probably the first one you fight. I'm gonna put it up in actually pretty good just because it's the first one. And they haven't gotten old yet. Okay, Erdtree Burial Watchdogs. The Limgrave Watchdog, I am actually going to put in Chef's Kiss here. I loved the first Watchdog fight. It's creepy. It its attack patterns are unpredictable. It's a very difficult fight for the early game. I think I actually used like the sniper crossbow to beat it. Like I actually did the thing where I shot it when I was outside my attack window, which is usually a strategy that doesn't work out for me. But this time it did. You don't have spirits yet. You can't, overwhelm it. Also, I feel like this is actually pretty good practice. Like yeah, I'm pretty sure this boss does a thing where it delays its attacks, just like Margit does. So it's sort of like a mini Margit for you to practice on, and just get the idea of bosses with very slow, very powerful attacks that like punishing you for everything. This is the one in Altus. It has lightning. By this time, you're getting kind of bored of them. This is the one with the magical staff. This is the one Caelid where there are two of them. Also, I find it really annoying that these guys become just standard enemies later. Like when you get up into the mountains and they're just like basic catacomb enemies. That's really annoying, and you just don't. It makes you just not want to fight them. Sort of like the omens that are everywhere. Oh, Falling Star Beasts. The Altus one is Ite. Yeah, there's not much about it. It's kind of in a very out of the way spot, and it's just sort of there. The one Caelid, you have to fight it in a really tiny room that, no, I'm sorry. I don't do that shit. Go away. Glintstone Dragon Smaragd, as far as dragon fights go, is pretty good. You have to fight him. You don't actually have to fight him in order to get the key. You just have to grab the key and run. You can fight the dragon whenever you feel like it. God Devouring Serpent Rykard is a remembered boss. The Fell Twins. They ambush you while you're on your way to Morgoth's Divine Tower. They just sort of spawn in out of nowhere. They probably have some sort of lore significance. They're like, I think I heard a theory that they're basically like images or sort of echoes of Morgoth. They're supposed to represent Morgoth and Moog. It's a pretty interesting fight, so I'm gonna put it in pretty good. Just because you have to fight them in the void for some reason. Fia's Champions is disappointing. I wish, like, it's one of those fights where you have to fight reskins of players, except unlike the jar fight where everyone's got like, super kick-ass meta builds and you have to fight like, 3 assholes with rivers of blood katanas or whatever. These dudes are all kind of, I guess the spawn pool for these dudes is just kind of lame. I don't know. And then you fight Rogier, and I mean Rogier's cool. I like him. He's my friend. And then you fight Lionel, who's also my friend, sort of. If I'd ever gotten to know him, he's cool. I mean, he's Fia's dad. How bad can he possibly be? His armor is pretty cool. The Fire Giant, I actually really like this fight. Again, I know some people didn't. Oh no, wait, this is Remembrance. No, wait, I've already done Placidusax. Oh. I forgot that Placidusax was also Remembrance boss. Okay. You know what? Fuck it, I'm doing Remembrance bosses. Fire Giant, I really liked. He's great. He's big. You can ride Torrent into the boss fight, but I don't think that's a good idea. Or actually, I couldn't because I summoned Alexander. Because you gotta summon Alexander, man. He's Alexander. He's been your best friend like the whole way. You can't just not bring him to the climactic battle. Like, come on. Come on. I think Fire Giant was actually easier in its second phase. It's one of those bosses. Yeah, but it didn't take me too many tries. It's easier. It's easy when it's 3-on-1. But still, I liked the spectacle of it. I found that was really cool. And now get to the ones I skipped because I'm doing Remembrance bosses now. Fuck it. I know how we can do this. Refresh the page. Okay. Stop that. Ancestor Spirit. I love you. You're awesome. Chef's kiss. This is one of those, like, just walking into this boss room. It's not the best boss fight, like, in terms of mechanics or skill required, but it's beautiful. I love it. I hate Siofra River though, and not because of the snipers. Like, the snipers are actually, I found I had more issue with the snipers in or with the fact that there's snipers in the sort of mausoleum complex area. The issue I have with Siofra River is the fact that they could just sort of spawn in 5 feet in front of you. So where once there was a safe place, you're running towards an area you think is empty, and now suddenly there are 5 dudes there, and they all want you to die. And the music is just, I love it. Okay, Estelle, also amazing, wonderful. Atmosphere, it's not as good as Ancestor Spirit. Astel was one of the boss fights that I actually felt I needed to, like, my spirits were kind of trash for that fight, just because of how Estelle just because Estelle has a lot of sweeping sort of AoE attacks, and those are sort of like the kryptonite in terms of spirit ashes. And just Estelle is so, he's not super creepy, but he's just so weird. And also he's got a very obvious weak point. But he doesn't, at the same time, he's not, like, he doesn't have any obvious, like, elemental weaknesses. Amazing boss. Shame he's locked behind Ronnie's quest line. Malekith. I love Malekith's OST. Like the one bit that has like the choir in it with Beast Clergyman. I don't know, it just reminds me of like Christmas music I listen to sometimes. Or like my mom used to listen to. She liked that sort of stuff. Just that sort of ambience. Or like, the final level of Ace Combat 6, where there's just like there's no music, and instead it's just like a choir singing the whole time. I like the spectacle. It's one of 2 bosses that were like, the difficulty was kind of bullshit, I'm gonna be real with you, but it felt worth it in the end. This is one of the fights that I brought Mimic Tier to. And the fun fact is that if your build is trash, Mimic Tier is also going to not help you that much. Like, I had to juggle around and figure out which loadout I was going to use, like how to get the best loadout to make the best use of Mimic Tier. Also, since I was running Winged Scythe. When your main output is holy damage, the end game gets very, very difficult. Also, the boss run to this guy is annoying. Like, that's one of the reasons why the Mimic Tier was initially like really ineffective, because I didn't bother fighting the Dragon Sentinel outside because I was trying to rush. I was sort of rushing things towards the end because I was on sort of a time limit. Yeah, basically, like 5 times out of 10, the Mimics here would just immediately turn around and try to fight the Sentinel through the boss fog, which was annoying. Rykard is... Mwah. Love it. It's a gimmick fight, but it's fun. It's fun as hell. And it's a fight that doesn't get like frustrating, like no matter how many times you have to retry it, because it's just so... Also, yeah, the OST is amazing. I think this might be my favorite out of all the demigod fights. Just because, like, the Serpent Hunter blade feels powerful. Like, every time you just smack him with it, and then, like, do the thrust. Like, you can feel the power. Flying Dragon Agil. Amazing. I love that. Just as a first dragon fight, this is great. I feel like this is the best, like, just because the Agil feels more like this feels like the dragon they put all the effort into. Because, like, he's got, like, his own band of worshippers that are just sort of chilling around the Dragon Burnt Ruins. He feels like he actually has a place in the world, unlike all the other dragons, which just sort of feel like they're there. Like, they did the one dragon for the network test. We're like, hey, here's a Geel. And then they're just like, fuck it. Just put a bunch of other dragons places. Yeah, but this is also the first boss that emphasized, like, it's the first boss that actually felt like a field boss, that, like, you know, you can take any approach to fight this boss. And that's why I wound up shooting it 50 times in the face from horseback. I was like, I'm basically a Mongol horse archer now. Eat shit, dragon. And it helps that he doesn't actually move around that much. Like, he doesn't fly all over the place like the Glintstone dragons do. At least I don't remember him flying around that much. Flying Dragon Grail, however, was a different story. I never got to experience that boss fight in its fullest, because he got stuck on a tree and died. It was very funny. But I never killed him. I guess it wasn't a tree, yeah. The Frenzied Duelist. I think this is the guy that you fight in the jail cave, aka the dungeon that is actually a dungeon. He's aight. The gladiator dudes aren't that. They're okay. Full grown Falling Star Beast. Amazing. I love it. It's at the top of the mountain. You can, like, fall in there on your. You have to fall in there on your horse, because if you try to climb the ladder, he just kills you. He just headbutts you off the side of the fucking mountain instantly. Yeah, but, like, Estelle has got the very obvious weak point. At least here, Spirit Ashes weren't an automatic win. In fact, they weren't really super helpful. But just fighting it in the open spot, fighting it just under the open sky was very. It's an experience, man, because like you're climbing to the top of the world and this thing is already there, and you're like handing it its fucking eviction papers, like, this is me. Look at me. I am the king of the mountain now. Fuck off. Glintstone Dragon Adula is it. It's a pretty good fight. This is Ronnie's pet dragon. The annoying thing about them is when I first fought this guy in front of Ronnie's house, and he does the thing where he teleports away. I thought he had teleported somewhere nearby, and I spent like a good hour and a half looking for him. And then I looked him up to realize, oh wait, he's all the way down there. Yeah, the teleporting thing isn't that intuitive. Like, it'd be one thing if he just like flew away and you could see him like fly very far away, but no, he just teleports. Godefroy the Grafted. Why do you exist? You're just the lamer version of a better boss. You don't need to be a thing. The Grave Warden Duelists. The first one is pretty good, just because it's a very challenging early game fight. This other one I'm going to put in meh, because I don't remember it. I think you fight him in the Ariza side catacombs? I don't remember. It was actually kind of interesting just finding these guys like sort of wandering around homeless in Lanedale. That was interesting. Godfrey First Elden Lord is the ghost. He's meh. I sort of just blew right through him. And then I was like, wait, this is Godfrey, the one everybody's been hyping over? And I was like, oh god, I'm like over leveled or something. That was like very quick and disappointing. I actually ran away like the first time I let him kill me the first time, because I was like, I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready to fight Godfrey. Turns out I was very ready to fight Godfrey. And the real Godfrey wasn't all that better. Like, I know people love this boss. I'm probably going to get lynched if anybody cares to watch this, but I just blew right through him. Like, I get it. I summoned Lutel. I had a dex build. I also summoned Nefeli, because why not summon Nefeli? She's cool. She kicks ass. Always down to help familial disputes. Yeah, but it was just sort of like, I don't actually remember much about the fight. I don't even remember how many times he killed me, because the whole thing was just sort of like a massive Looney Tunes cloud of like, you know, axes and scythes and getting fucking body slammed. Yeah, so like, I mean, it sucks. I wish I could have experienced the Godfrey fight that everybody else did, but I did not. Godric the Grafted, another fight you can summon Nefeli for. It is pretty good. Actually, you know what? No, fuck it. It's amazing. I like it. Just because as a climax to, as a first demigod, a climax to the castle that you've been sort of slogging your way through, he's pretty great. He's funny. The dragon shit is pretty wild. He's not super difficult. He's actually, I personally found him actually easier than Margit. because for all his like throwing his crap around, he's kind of bad at actually hitting you. And like he has his little storm attack. Yeah, but like it's very easy to not die. Or it's pretty easy to not die. Godskin Apostles, bringers of the best OST in the game. Like many people have said, the first time I encountered the first time I encountered this guy was the one in the Windmill Village. I was like, you know, creeping up past the creepy ladies. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna leave these people alone. And then I run into this guy, and I'm like, why did they give the wavy, wacky, inflatable arm flailing tube man the final boss soundtrack? This guy goes in pretty good. Apostle by himself. I like Apostle. Godskin Apostle Dragon Barrow is aight. Like it's Apostle again. Whoop. Big whoop. The Caelid Divine Tower is a special brand of hell. Like, the soldiers in there are all leveled up to like Dragon Barrow level. So like you're like, oh, Radahn's guys, I've beaten like 50 bazillion of Radahn's goons, they can't be that hard. And they are that hard because they're level 100 or whatever. Just the feeling of like, you know, trying to climb up a tower on your horse. That's the sort of feeling. I was getting flashbacks to Pokemon Emerald, which is the one Pokemon game that I haven't played, or that I have played, where I left off when I was trying to get my bicycle up Deoxys' tower, and that's where I stopped. And then, you know, you're climbing up, and then like, you know, there's the endless frustration where after all that climbing, you know, a guy with a shield kicks you in the fucking nuts, and then you fall back down again. That's the problem. Like, to get at the Caelid Tower is like the one time I brought my bow back out after letting it gather dust for 30 hours because my spells had made it obsolete. But, you know, the bow has range, and you can just shoot those guys so they can't kick you in the nuts. Yeah, so the Apostles find Caelid Divine Tower can... It is a monument to all our sins. It's like the reverse version of the Frenzied Flame prescription, except you're going up. Godskin Apostle, Godskin Noble, the snail version. These guys suck, their cave sucks. I don't understand why I'm not able to kill the snail like with the other snail boss fight. Why do I have to kill them both first? It's another thing where like 90% of the time if you bring a Spirit Ash in, they'll go for the fog and start trying to fight they'll try to start fighting the samurai guy who's in the cave through the fog. And just it's a slog. Godskin Duo is bleh. It's slightly less annoying because you can summon Bernal and you outnumber them 3 to 2, and you can fight the Apostle while they take care of the Noble. Or more of like you can all kill the Noble before the Noble gets to phase 2. Because Godskin Noble I hate. I hate the bullshit roll attack. Like, I do not like it. I do not like it, Sam, I am. Godskin Duo boss run is also kind of annoying just because of all the guys, like the dragon knights that are hanging around outside. Their OST is great though. Grafted Scion is bleh. Actually, he's meh. I do not. They're not as bad as some other mini bosses in this game. I'm not a big fan of the tutorial boss that's designed to kill you trope, but I mean that's just how it is. That's just how it be. I do not like these guys because you cannot, like, I think I heard someone compare them to basically like a Sekiro boss, which I mean, I guess that's sort of, they've got like a 50 bazillion arms and you can't keep track of all of them because, but I mean, eventually you get to a point where you can just brute force your way through them. Like the one in the castle, I wound up taking pot shots with arrows at for 10 minutes because I couldn't be asked. But then it did that annoying thing where it just sort of scoots under the ledge you're trying to shoot it from. Great Worm Theodorix. I do not like him. I do not like when he gets to phase 2, he stands up on his hind legs and then the camera decides to stab you in the back. Because it's like, you know, he keeps on wanting to lock onto his head, but his head isn't the part that, you can't reach his head. The head isn't the part that can hit you with the head isn't the part you're trying to hit with the sword because it's 6 feet above you. And the head isn't the part that's trying to hit you with the sword. Like, nobody is helped by the camera constantly wanting to stay locked onto his head, except the magma worm. The magma worm loves it because then it can kill you. Magma worm Makar is much better because you can bring friends. I'm gonna put it in pretty good. You can bring Millicent. You can bring Blackguard to this fight, and like, who doesn't like Blackguard? Like, I just find it really funny that the most down to earth and like relatable, I wouldn't say relatable, but like the most down to earth and grounded NPC, I guess quote unquote wholesome NPC in this game is a fucking thug. He's like a fucking street thug. And like he just wants to cook his shrimp, man, or his crab. If you gain enough points with him, then he moves. Also, you can summon Millicent for that fight, and Millicent kicks ass. Millennia Blade of Miquella is the other boss fight that's kind of bullshit but also satisfying. Like, she and Malekith are like the duo. I'm gonna put her next to Malekith just because. But, you know, pain in the ass, the heal on hit mechanic is kind of, I think her phase 2 is slightly easier, though I can't say, because she doesn't do, I'm not sure if she does waterfowl dance as often in phase 2. But yeah, bring Mimic Tier. Bring Mimic Tier, dual wield, get your status effects. Make sure to bring both ice and blood so that, you know, or ice, make sure, yeah, like, bring yourself an ice weapon so that, because like I'm pretty sure Millennia does that thing where like if you inflict multiple status effects on her, like if once you can't, like the status effects get subsequently harder to get on her each time you do it. So like every time she bleeds, she gains more bleed resistance. So you're gonna want to bring two different status effects to juggle things up. And when she does waterfowl dance, hope that you're not the one she's doing waterfowl dance to. Simple as. Yeah, I use Mimic Tear for this fight. I probably couldn't have done it without Mimic Tear. Fight me. She killed me, but she couldn't kill both of me. Guardian Golem is a kind of lame fight. I mean, the cave is pretty cool. I really like that. I'm really fascinated by those sorts of ruins that are in that, because like, you know, you've got the ruins that are in Radon's arena. They're in the mountaintops of the giants. They're in the ruined precipice. And like, I'm really curious about those things. Like, who built those? Like, is the world built around those ruins? Because that's what it looks like. And this, you sort of get to delve into their guts. So I'm gonna put him in. No, I'm gonna put him in. He can go in height. It's another one of those things where they're much better as mini bosses in the open world. Like the one that's in Stormvale, the one that's close to the Crucible Knight Everjail. That one scared the shit out of me when I first ran past it. It just got up. Kindred of Rot. Why are you a boss? Why are you a boss in Mount Gelmir? Like, by the time someone reaches Mount Gelmir, they're probably already going to have been to Caelid. They're going to have fought like 20 million of you. Why? Why are you a boss? Also, I hate Kindred of Rot. I hate the pest threads. How they can just sort of hit you from wherever, and you can't do shit about them. Leonine Misbegotten is, I'm gonna put it in amazing. It's like one of the first real boss fights in the game. I really liked it. I used the dogs. It's actually kind of hidden though. Like the fact that you're supposed to like go out the back of though I guess if you're looking at the map, you might be more inclined to figure it out. But the first time I actually ran through Castle Morn, I didn't actually find this guy. I like got to Edgar and I was like, wait, that's it? But that wasn't it. I didn't realize that you had to drop down the back. It's a really fun fight. Lich Dragon Fortisax. Name a better duo of Fia's questline and extremely disappointing boss fights. This dude was a joke. Which sucks because I like Fia's questline. I like Fia, I like Roger, I like the whole, I like skeletons. I want skeletons to run society. That is why I went with the Duskborn ending. I like how doing the Duskborn ending makes you feel like a sneaky motherfucker because you're a conspiracy inside a conspiracy, potentially inside another conspiracy. Like, you know, you've got Marika's conspiracy against his greater will, and then you've got Ronnie who hijacks Marika's conspiracy for her own conspiracy to, you know, bring out the Age of the Stars. And then you have, you know, Fia's conspiracy, which in order to do it, you have to sort of hijack Ronnie's conspiracy in service of the dude Ronnie had killed. So it's sort of like, you know, karmic justice, you know. She didn't see this one coming. May skeletons take the world. Loretta, Knight of the Haligtree is pretty good. It's not amazing, but she looks cool. Though she does go down kind of easily. At least it went at my level, she went down pretty easily. It took a couple tries, I think. Mad Pumpkinhead is Ite. As an early game boss, it's okay. This is the one you have to beat to get past Selin. The most annoying Pumpkinhead in the game is the one in the campsite. That in like there's a campsite of Liurnio of Kaku army that's in the sort of northwest. Like there's a bunch of trolls pulling a carriage by it. And it's sort of like on two different levels of a cliff. And that campsite is the most annoying place where you have to fight one of these guys. Just because there are 5 million other dudes. Mad Pumpkinhead Duo. I was actually under level for these guys, and thus I was ramming my head against them for quite a long time. I'm going to put it in meh. For some reason, you can bring your horse to this boss fight. I'm not sure if that's a bug. I feel like that's a bug. Like, why else do you? Why are you able to ride your horse around a basement? But they're kind of annoying just because it's such a cramped space, and they hit like they hit you really hard. But like I said, I was under level, so what do I know? The Kalid magma worm is Ite. This is the guy that's in the Gale tunnels. Gale tunnels are kind of annoying because you can get stuck in them if you're not careful, because you have to drop down in order to get in. And then the only way out is straight through. Mount Gelmir magma worm is also kind of meh. Just because it's sitting in a pool of lava. Actually, I'm going to put in Ite because it's a dragon. It's still a dragon fight. Margit, the fellow with the wall. I'm gonna put him pretty good because he's kind of a frustrating wall, to be honest. You could summon Roger for this fight, although you don't know who Roger is at this point, so the impact is kind of lessened. And also, he isn't super helpful. Like, this is the one fight where I didn't summon the NPC because I was like, there's no way this guy's actually worth the, like, this guy is making the fight, like, he's not worth giving Margit the extra health. He dies way too fast. But he felt satisfying to beat. The trick for me beating him was that I just had to wait until phase 2 to bring out the wolves. And also, you know, be aggressive at the right time. I don't know, it was ages ago, man. Knights Cavalry. I actually really like the Knights Cavalry. I don't know why. I don't actually get tired of fighting them. I like hunting them down. I'm gonna put them all in pretty good. Except the two. The duo is kind of meh, just because there's a bunch of additional bullshit there. Knights Cavalry Duo. This is the Consecrated Snowfield one. This one's because there are pages there, and pages all have concealed carry permits, and are carrying fucking Sigsar P229 semi-automatics. The one in the Forbidden Lands also kind of just because there are all the vulgar militia there, and vulgar militia the Forbidden Lands vulgar militia are kind of cancer. Um, the one in Liurnia North, that one I feel, I don't know, that one, the additional bullshit there actually made it kind of fun. Just because having to juggle both him and the Cuckoo Knight that's also chilling in the area made things pretty hectic. I don't know. This guy, the first one, I think you can actually make him fall off the bridge if you get him to the right place. Oh, that reminds me, the Limgrave Deathbird, you can actually get the trolls to beat it to death because it spawns right in the middle of all of them. That's how I killed it, and that was pretty funny. So I'm gonna move it up to height, just because it was kind of funny being able to do that. Mimic tier is S for being the fucking funniest thing. Having to fight yourself and realizing that you forgot to take realizing that you still had a bunch of random consumables in your equipment belt, and then you don't realize it until it's hurling magic bombs at you. No, that was kind of funny. And just that it's like the Mimic tier likes to spam your weapon art. And it's really funny having your weapon art, like when you're running the winged scythe and you're just used to your weapon art being completely useless, because most NPCs only have one Estus flask anyway, or one Crimson flask anyway. And then the Mimic tier uses it against you, and you're like, oh crap, fuck you. Yeah, but if you do the thing where, like, you unequip all your weapons before the fight, and you don't engage in a slap battle with the Mimic tier, if you don't follow through with it and engage the Mimic tier in hand-to-hand combat, if you cheat and just re-equip all your weapons, I'm sorry, you do. Why? Why would you do that? I mean, I guess if you're speedrunning, that's a good strategy. But I mean, if you're speedrunning, there's all, yeah. Unless you're a speedrunner, I have no respect for you for doing that. You do not like fun. Miranda the Blighted Bloom is a joke, literally. I basically killed it with the steel torch because I could, because it cannot do shit. I was like, this is a boss that can't do shit. I'm just going to kill it with a very dumb weapon, and I did. However, despite not being able to do shit, it still has a ridiculously massive health pool, and it takes a while to kill it. Misbegotten Crusader is meh. I'm gonna put him in 8. By this point, you've seen like a bazillion of him, and even though he's got a fancy sword, that doesn't change much. The cave is very cool visually, like, with all the jellyfish under the ice. But, I mean, it's just another Misbegotten man. Misbegotten Warrior Crucible Knight was actually pretty fun. I really like that. It seems like it's just another duo grab bag fight, but I guess this time it's like you can fight a Crucible Knight and you can also bring a Spirit Ash with you. It's like one of the couple times you can actually do that. And just fighting, being able to fight the Misbegotten Warrior goes down in like 5 seconds, and he has to, because you want to kill the Misbegotten Warrior before you fight the Crucible Knight, or else you're gonna get fucked. But just being able to fight the Crucible Knight alongside Lutel, which is who I summoned, because Lutel's my favorite Spirit Ash, Speaking of which, speaking of Lutel, I'm gonna move the cemetery, huh. Oh wait, it already is up. Okay, yeah, it's already up a slot. Okay, that's good. Because the cemetery shade in Weeping Kinsale is the one that drops Lutel. So that gives it a couple bonus points. Yeah, but just being able to fight the Crucible Knight alongside Lutel, especially with Lutel's like teleporting power, like the Crucible Knight aggroes on you, she teleports behind it, stabs it in the back. The Crucible Knight turns and starts fighting Lutel, then you stab it in the back. Then she teleports again, and then rinse and repeat. It just felt like, teamwork, man. Like that's why I like Lutel, because it's like she's not, you don't use her as a tank. You use her as like, to take the heat off of you for a second, to get the enemy turned around and facing the other direction so you can go in and get more hits in. Moog, Lord of Blood. I actually really like Moog. Like I went through like sort of a phase, different phases with Moog. Like at first I thought he was kind of cringe, like he was edgy, and then I thought he was just a disgusting human. He was just disgusting, and I actually find him like this might be weird, but I actually find him like kind of endearing in a really bizarre sort of way. Like especially about hearing about his backstory and about how like out of all the demigods, he's the only one who's still trying to like build something new. And it's like, oh, it's cute. You got your own little dynasty here. You got your like own clothes and everything. You've got all your little friends. And it feels like Moog feels like a kid living out his like power fantasy from down when he's in the sewers. And while that leads to atrocious horror beyond comprehension, it's also like, you did it. You made it. Like, congratulations, dude. You have your dynasty. You have everybody wanting to be your friend. You've got your own god who also wants to be your friend. Like, also, I'm gonna kill you now because you're a fucking psycho. But I don't know. I mean, aside from the whole kidnapping Mikilla thing, but we don't know Mikilla's whole deal yet. Like, for all we know, Mikilla's gonna turn out to be totally loco. Now where did I put him? Ah, there he is. Yeah, I really like his fight too. Just how fast-paced and like raw it is. I like how he counts down from 3. I like the knee heel. He's got like everybody, he's got his own sort of brand of bullshit. Like you can't do the knee. You can only counteract the knee heel if you've got the special ingredient in your juice, or if you heal just as like he's doing it. But uh, I like it. It's a really fun fight. Discount bargain bin Moog goes in 8. Actually, he goes in 8. No, he goes in pretty good. He's all right. No, he's all right. He's 8. No, but he's better. He's better than these guys. He's better than all these. It's Moog, but without Phase 2, and with a watered down soundtrack. Morgoth the Omen King is pretty good. I wish I got to fight the Morgoth that everybody else got to fight because I just sort of blew through him. Like, I summoned Mela and Lutel again. It's the same deal as with Godfrey and Horalu, which is funny because it's the same arena. Um, but also, his lore is actually pretty interesting. Just how he's just like an absolute, just like also his relationship and how like he and Moog went in sort of like opposite directions. Like, Moog embraced himself and learned to love himself and has taken that to an absolutely ridiculous degree and is like gone completely psycho. And then Morgott hates himself and hates everyone and is just like the most miserable son of a bitch in existence. And he has crippling depression. Yeah, but I like how you could summon Melina for that fight. It's pretty cool. Necromancer Garrus is bleh. He hits you with his family tied on the end of a stick. It's kind of gross. His cave is the one. Yeah. Patches is S tier. Finally getting to fight him after 3 games. Well, for me, it's 2 games. Yeah, but finally getting to fight him after all this time, and like even then, you can just be like, he can be like, dude, no, wait, chill, chill, it's me. And then like, because I'm in the camp where like, I can't stay mad at Patches. He thinks he's fucking you over. Like it's kind of endearing how he genuinely thinks he's fucking you over, but it's like, he kicks you down a hole and you're gonna be like, literally, oh, it's gonna take me 5 minutes to get back up there. And he's like, yeah. Well, he's not like, yeah. I think in Ring to City, it's more like he just does it for the sake of doing it. Like that's his thing. He can't be Patches and not kick people into holes. Yeah, but you can fight him. Like when I saw the boss health bar, it was like the biggest grin just spread across my face. Ah, and here's also a boss I fought. Oh wait, no, not this one. This one's bleh. This one's meh. It's random. Both of these are meh. Nox, these two I actually missed these guys the first time around. I just sort of blew right past them. I didn't even notice they were there because I went straight up to the church where Millicent was at because that was the more obvious way forward. This also meh. It's just a random 2 bosses. This is another boss for Nefeli's quest line. I'm gonna put it in Ite. It's a Capra Demon reskin. The Albanoric Village questline and like that sort of scenario is actually really cool and interesting. Like just how Nefeli just realizes her father is just an absolute asshole. And I stand Nefeli. She's a girl boss. I'm glad I could promote her and help her achieve her girl boss dreams. And that she actually had a decent ending. This boss room, I just laughed when I entered it because this is somehow even more of a joke than just the flower on its own. Because, I just killed the Omen Killer in 3 seconds and the flower is just sitting there awkwardly. Onyx Lord, you have to fight him to get to Morgott's, to Rykard's boss. I think it's a Rykard's boss tower that this guy's guarding. The mine you have to get through to get to him is kind of interesting. There's like lots of illusory walls, I think. But it's just a gravity man. He sucks. Putrid Avatar Consecrated Snowfield. It's an avatar. It's okay. I'll put him with the rest. Yeah, put it with the rest. Roundtable Knight Vike, actually really fun fight. Not nearly as frustrating as Frenzied Vike. This is the Vike that uses dragon lightning and stuff. This guy was actually kind of fun to fight. It was especially kind of fun to use like Cosmic Irony and like shoot him with Frenzied Burst, which is the most annoying move that Frenzied Vike has. And a move that I really want a mod that replaces the Frenzied Burst sound effect with like a Dalek laser. Like this sort of boom, because that's the sound effect I always think of when I do that. And I love the shit out of that spell. That like the Frenzied Burst is probably my favorite spell, just because how fast it is and how long range it is. I'm gonna put him pretty good. Adula, I don't know why Adula's up here. He's not amazing. Royal Knight Loretta, second verse or first verse, same as the second. She's pretty good. Kind of just thrown at you out of nowhere. I wasn't really expecting a boss fight in that room, but Putrid Avatar Dragon Barrow, put it with the rest. That one I killed actually pretty early on, earlier than I was probably supposed to. It like did a lot. Like I made absolute bank off of killing that guy. Like avatars are really good for like if you've got fire magic and like just going around killing avatars is a good way to make a ton of money. These fucks. My least favorite boss in the game. Because there are 3 of them. They have their stupid Crystallian gimmick, and they also all have Scarlet Rot, HIV, AIDS, cancer, diabetes, Ebola, coronavirus, any other disease you can think of. Fuck these guys. That's all. This dude's in the consecrated snowfields. I don't remember much about him. It's a grave duelist, but he's infected. Tree spirits. This is the putrid tree spirit. I forget where it is. I think this is the one. I think this one's in the mountaintops. Or no, this is the one on Mount Gelmir. It's I'm like the first ulcerated tree spirits are nothing to write home about. Except the one in the one down in the cloister. The Einsel River cloister, the one where you have to like wade through a river of scarlet rot just to get it to spawn in, and even then there's like the 15 pests that are shooting at you. That guy can, well, I mean he's already in hell, so he can't exactly go there, but I hate it. I hate that one. Radagon. Love him, but Elden Beast can. He's not Chef's Kiss. He's amazing. Radagon's amazing. But Elden Beast sucks because you have to run everywhere. And again, another boss fight, late game boss fight that is very resistant to holy damage. As a result, I was woefully unequipped for. Red Wolf of Radagon. Just another Sith. It's another Sith, sorry, and its health pool isn't that great. It's not that fun. Red Wolf the champion. Fuck you for having a reskin after one of the most annoying This guy, I hate this guy just because of what he represents. Because, you know, you slog through the Mount Gelmir hero's grave, which is probably the most annoying hero's grave, and your reward for the end is getting to fight this guy again. Regal Ancestor Spirit is like Ancestor Spirit, but slightly more annoying with the healing mechanic. He gets demoted to pretty good because I think the healing, the healing mechanic is kind of BS. Not gonna lie, but it's still an Ancestor Spirit, and they're great. Renala, Queen of the Full Moon. The boss run to her is a slog. She's much easier than she looks, especially her phase 2. Like I think I over leveled. I was scared of her phase 2, and then I over leveled to compensate. She summons like boss mobs at you, but you can just sort of like ignore them. Like you can just sort of brush past them and like just go straight for her. At least that's what I'm pretty sure I did. I seem to remember like when she fights you in the spirit realm, like if you summon ashes there, I think they actually, like I might be wrong, but don't the ashes actually like you can see like they spawn as their normal models without like, you know, the glow? That might just be a misremembering. But if they did do that, that was like a really interesting detail. Also, I was really surprised when like, you know, you beat her and she's still alive. I'm like, what? Wow. And like, you can't kill her. I was like, am I gonna have to kill her anyway? Or is she gonna have like a long, drawn out extended death scene? But no, she's just there. She survives the game. I'm gonna put her in pretty good. Royal Revenant. No. Just die. Cease your existence. Fuck you. Stray Manketeer, second, it's still funny the second time. Though not as funny, since I actually had to look up how to get to this guy. Tibia Mariners. They look cool, and they're fun to fight, but they're kind of lame. I'm going to put them all in pretty good. The Altus one can summon the giant skeletons, and that's actually like pretty surprising. That can really catch you off guard. Okay, so I'm going to put him in pretty good. Where did I put the other one? Tibia Mariner. Alright, right here. Excuse me. Okay, I'm back. The Rune Bears are very annoying in the open world. They are the worst enemy. As a boss, you have to fight in a really closed space. It's not the worst boss. It's Sanguine Noble is a dude with a sword. I liked fighting him with bleed just to see which of us could outbleed each other. It's pretty meh. He's one of Moog's guys. You've probably fought him already because there's the one in the Rose Church, like the one I like to call a Cancer Church. I feel like he shouldn't infinitely respawn. Like, I don't know, I feel like I should kill him once and then he should go away. And he doesn't even drop anything. I don't know why he's there. The Scaly Misbegotten. Bleh. These guys are the most annoying Misbegotten enemies because their axe hits like a fucking brick. And they have a lot of poise. But as a boss, they're really lame. Sir Gideon Ofnir, the All-Knowing. Unironically, I'm going to put him in... this is actually... I'm going to put him in S. Just because of, like... I didn't even summon a Spirit Ash for this fight. Just because I felt this fight was really, like, personal. Like, yeah, I don't know. Like, it's rare that a boss fight in one of these that a boss fight in one of these games actually feels like personal. But this one is like, you've got the boss fights where it's like, oh, fight against another honored warrior, and this is not that. You have beef with this man. You finally get to fucking fight this man and put your fucking fist in his stupid, smug fucking face. The only reason, though, and actually, a funny thing is that this boss fight was way harder for me than it could be because, one, I listened to his monologue. So I didn't rush him like I know a lot of people do. And two, I kept on trying to style on him with bizarre, funny spells. He has all the boss spells you collect throughout the game. Like, he's got Scarlet Flower, he's got Renala's Hyper Beam, he's got Moog's Blood Dimension. But I was like, yeah, I can style too. And I was trying to use Death Lightning on him. I was trying to use Placidusax. I was trying to use the Placidusax spell on him, which sucks, by the way. Because it has a really slow wind-up time. And he can just walk up to you, at least Gideon Ofnir just was walking up to me and just smacking me out of it. So eventually I had to just resort to the good old spamming Frenzied Burst at his ass. Because I like Frenzied Burst, and it was my favorite spell. Yeah, but Gideon Ofnir for actually making me switch up my playstyle just because I wanted to style on a bunch of non-sentient computer code gets chef's kiss here. Soldier of Godric. Amazing for the memes. It's not chef's kiss here, but it's amazing for the memes. Just that this guy exists. Or no, it's amazing for the memes. Memes. Spirit Color Snail is chef's kiss tier for the memes. Again, this fight was so fucking funny. Because, the entire dungeon is the illusory wall dungeon. And then, you come into the boss room and you're like, big and scary knight. And then you're like, oh, wait. And you see the little glow in the corner and you're like, aha, fucker. Nice try. Oh, never mind. Forget what I said when I said Rykard was my favorite. This guy's my favorite. This guy's my favorite. The raid boss. Bring your friends. Bring your enemies. Bring Patches. Patches leaves. Patches has returned to his world because Patches doesn't want to fight this guy. But it was epic. Just like, you know, the long range gravity snipe. That is his bullshit, but like every major boss in this game has like at least one bullshit attack. I feel like that was in the design document. Like, what's the bullshit gimmick for this boss? And then they didn't give Morgott one because he's lame. And he's a loser baby and nobody likes him, including himself. Yeah, but I really liked, especially because like when you fight Radon, like there are all these random NPCs there, and I really liked like, you know, meeting them again throughout the course of the game. Like, who are these people? Like, who's Okina? Who's Lionel? Who's Trogoth? And then you run into them again throughout the game. And you're like, oh, it's that guy. Oh, it's that guy. Oh, it's him. And just Radon in general is epic. I didn't really hear his OST that much during the battle, because I was mostly focusing on, you know, not being deaded. Also, unfortunately, like, Blythe is the only one who can actually fight worth a crap, and maybe Jaren. Though, Okina dies really fast. Lionel can do damage, but he also dies really fast. Trogoth survives for slightly longer. Alexander, I'm sorry, my guy, but you suck. Therolina actually survives for a very long time, mostly because she heals herself and she prioritizes, you know, not getting hit. Because she can't, she has like holy jars which she can throw, and that's it. But yeah, Radon's epic. Stone Digger Troll. These guys are right. The first Tree Sentinel is pretty good. It has the Margit problem where it's a wall, but it's not a super fun wall. Like, I didn't really have a lot of fun fighting him, though it was interesting. He's tough. The tip when remembering to fight him is that you can attack him through his shield. Like, his shield can block, like, you know, projectiles and stuff if it's charged, but you can attack him on the side when he's holding his shield, and like, I think it'll still do like damage. I don't know. That's what people have told me. The Tree Sentinel duo is a joke, because you can get into the side of the road, you can get behind one of those concrete railings and just shoot them, and they can't do crap. They cannot get to you when you are sitting there. They will just teleport back into the middle of the street. Alright, almost done. Ulcerated Tree Spirits. The first one's pretty good. Again, a fight that was made a lot more difficult because I was doing mostly holy damage. However, after that, they get kind of meh. Oh, right, the putrid tree spirit. Okay, that was the one. That's the one in the dungeon that you only unlock after beating Radon. The one in the, where are you? Come on. Yeah, okay. Yeah, this is the one this is the one in the dungeon where all of Radon's men and the Clean Rot Knights, all their ghosts are fighting each other, which they instantly respawn. Or they all infinitely respawn, so you can't just watch the fight play out. Which is also a weird thing is that they don't actually damage each other until you get close enough to them, for some reason. Valiant gargoyles are a pain because of the poison fog. You have to fight these guys to get to the deep root depths. You can summon D's brother with you to fight them with you, and it's a lot easier when when it's 3 against 2, like with the Godskin nobles. But they're still a pain even with the summons. Okay, and last but not least, Wormface. Well, actually, last and kind of least, Wormface. Wormface is meh. The poison is scary. The Deathblade is scary. Just throw fireballs at him continuously from a distance. Do not get close to this thing. It will suck. Though the first time I encountered the Wormface was actually the one that's like hiding, disguised in Mount Gelmir. And that thing gave me a heart attack because I had never seen something like this before, and it like makes the weird moaning sound, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? Why was it disguised as like, a random zombie? Okay, and that's it. That's the list. I'm gonna just zoom out. Here they all are. So, yeah. It is now 11:30. I have been at this for 2 hours. Adios.